Hi everyone, this is the monthly planner recurrent calendar template walkthrough video. If you haven't purchased this template, I will leave a link in the description box so you can go ahead and grab a copy. When you purchase this template, the first page is going to be the instructions tab. Here you can see my contact information as well as a detailed step-by-step guide that can help you get started with using this template. Before I switch over to the demo copy to show you exactly how it works, I want to give you a quick overview of what the template looks like when you purchase it. We already talked about the instructions tab. The next is the setup tab, and here's what it looks like. It does have additional instructions that you can follow to set up your template, and I will go into it in detail in the demo copy. The next tab is the task tab, and it would mostly be blank. I have left a placeholder item here just so you can see how it works. And then we have the overview tab, which would be mostly blank. The monthly tab, which will be blank except for the task that has been entered as a placeholder. And the rest of the month would look just like this. Now I'm going to switch over to the demo copy to show you exactly how it works. We're in the demo copy of this template in the setup tab, and I'll give you an overview and then go into exactly what you need to do to get started with it. In this box, there are additional instructions to help you set off the setup tab. So the first thing you're going to do is go over the instructions. Essentially what it's directing you to do is to check this box, which is the very first step. Once I check this box, you notice that these areas turn yellow. And what this is telling you is that these areas need to be customized. You can follow these check boxes after you've completed the customization steps for each area to track your progress. So let's start with the first one, which is to select the start year and month. So right here we have year, month, and day. So we want to use this template 2025 January, so we'll leave it as selected. And here's the week start day. So if you want your week to start Sunday or Monday or a different day, you can go ahead and select your weekly start day for the calendar part of the template. For this example, I'll go ahead and change it to Sunday. And then going back here, you can check this off as completed. And once you do that, you'll notice that the yellow color disappears. So let's go ahead and check that off, letting us know that the step has been completed. And the next thing we're going to do is to select icon type and priority label. So this is the section right here. This is where you would create your priority list. So going from very low to as soon as possible. You can change this to whatever you want. You could also change the icon color. So you can go here and let's say remove very low, medium, slightly high. Go here and change the icon that represents that label. Change it to whatever you want. And then the combination of the icon and the label shows up here. Once you completed that step, go ahead and check this box. And the final step is to add your categories, this section right here. Here are some placeholder categories. You can type over it, delete it, and type whatever category you want. And you can add additional categories here. The order doesn't really matter. Go ahead and type in your categories as they come up. And as you're done with the section, go ahead and check the box, and it tells you that the setup process for this template has been completed. The next tab is the task tab, and this is where you would add in all of your tasks. So all of the recurrent tasks, all of your one-time tasks, when it starts, when it ends, everything will be entered here. For all your recurrent tasks, you only need to enter it once. So let's do a few examples. I'm going to go ahead and scroll all the way down to a blank area and add a new task. Let's say this task would be team meeting. You can use this template for home tasks, work tasks, whatever you need to track that is recurrent. And because we have the categories, you can assign the task to each category and then filter and focus on a specific category of task, whether that be home or work related task. All right, so we have the team meeting. Let's assign this to meeting. We have a team meeting every Monday morning. So I'll assign this to every Monday. Start this team meeting February 1st. And it's an ongoing meeting, so we have no end date. It's open-ended, so we would leave this date open. And let's add another task. Let's say intermittent fasting, for example. Assign this to health. Let's say we want to do this every weekday, excluding weekends. Select every weekday. Select the start date. And let's say we only want to do this for 2 weeks. Choose the end date, which would be the 22nd of February, and then add whatever notes we need. All right, let's go back up here. The first graph is your distribution of categories based on what you have entered here. And the next one is for frequency based on what you have entered here. This just gives you a visual representation of the distribution of both categories and frequency. Next, I'm going to show you how to filter. Let's say you only want to see your meetings. Go ahead and click on category. You can see everything is checked here. Let's hit on clear. And you can select meetings by scrolling down, or you can just type meetings and select meetings, and then you're going to hit OK. You can see only your tasks assigned to meetings, and these graphs would adjust based on this filter as well, so keep that in mind. To go back, select all and hit OK. You can do the same for frequency as well. The nice thing about using this table format is that you can add a task, assign a frequency, add a start date, and if there is no end date, just leave it open and it will continue to show up every single month based on the frequency that you have assigned. To remove a task, go ahead and delete it, or simply add an end date to that task and it'll stop showing up in the monthly calendar. Now let's move over to the overview tab. This is where you're going to add in your quarterly goals and your monthly goals. The first month here starts based on what you have selected in the setup tab. So because we selected January 2025 in the overview tab, this is January 2025. If I were to select February, which is the current month, and we go back here, you can see that this starts February and it goes from February all the way through January 2026. It will cover 12 consecutive months based on the start month that you have selected. In addition to that, if we go to the monthly tab, you can see that the first month that shows up here is February 2025, which again is controlled by the selection here. Let's change this back to January, go back to the overview tab. Now we have January 2025 to December 2025. This gives you the flexibility of using this template over and over again. You can start whatever month you want, whatever year you want. Same thing goes with the quarterly goals. You don't have to go from quarter 1 to quarter 4 in this order. You can select whatever quarter you want to come first. So let's say you want to start quarter 3, quarter 4, then select quarter 1, quarter 2. Okay, and then you can go ahead and type in your quarterly goals into the space right here. The next section is used for your monthly goals. So how I personally use this template is that I will type in my quarterly goals, and then based on my quarterly goals, I would use this to create my monthly goals. And you would do this in the space right here for January, and you have one for February. Each month has its assigned space for the monthly goals, and as you fill out your monthly goals here, and as you complete those goals, go ahead and cross them off. Same thing for your quarterly goals. Once you fill them out here, you can easily cross them off when you have completed them. Think of this as an overview planning area where you put in all the things that you want to accomplish, and then you can go to the task area and then add the specific task that would help you accomplish this. And the last thing I want to show you is that these are hyperlinks. So if you want to navigate to the monthly sections without having to use these tabs, you can do so as well. To head over to month 1, we can click on this tab, and it takes us right there. And like I mentioned before, it starts January 2025 because that is the month and the year that we entered into the setup area. So let's go over the different parts of this template. Next, this is highlight task category. And if you look right here, this is a drop down, and this drop down is based on the categories that we entered in the setup tab that shows up in the task tab. So if we select meetings, for example, it would highlight in this section all the tasks that have been assigned to the meeting category. Let's click on something else. Let's say health. And you can see the 2 tasks associated with health gets highlighted here. In addition to being highlighted here, also highlights it in the calendar so you can easily identify the task. If you don't want anything highlighted, delete the selection and it removes the highlight. The next is to sort task. And if you click right here, you have 2 options, by category or alphabetical. If I click by category, you can see that it will sort the task by a category. So all of the admin tasks first, and then the chores, deadlines, family, etc. So it groups all the tasks together, or sorted in alphabetical order. You can click alphabetical and then the tasks will be sorted in alphabetical order. And here we have our priority label, so the one we also customize in the setup tab. And this is going to be a reminder because when we assign priorities in the calendar, we're not going to use the labels. We're only going to use these icons, as you can see right here. And then here we have 2 links. So if you want to go to the overview, you can click on this and it takes you back there. And if you want to go to the task tab, you can click here and it takes you directly to the task tab. Now let's move over to the calendar section. By the way, this column is frozen. If you want to remove it, you can go ahead and just hover around the line until it turns into this hand icon. Click on it and move it all the way back to the beginning, and then you can scroll over to the calendar area. This calendar starts Sunday because we selected Sunday as our week start day. If I change this to Monday and go back here, now you can see that the week start day is Monday. So it's very customizable to whatever works for you. Here is where our tasks would show up in the calendar. So we have clean kitchen, which is a daily task, and that means that it would show up every single day, including weekends. So you can see that it shows up Saturday and it shows up Sunday. I'm just going to uncheck these boxes so you can see it clearly. So it shows up every day, including the weekends. If I wanted to change that, you can go back to task and locate the task, clean kitchen. Let's change this to every weekday. Go back here. And now when we go over the weekends, it no longer shows up there. I have already assigned this priority label, so I'm going to remove some of them just to show you how it works. Now we're going to assign priorities to each task, and you don't have to do this for the entire month. How I personally do it is that I assign priorities on a daily or weekly basis. So I can go through my entire week and assign my priorities. And then when I get to that specific day, I can rearrange the priorities if I need to. So to assign priorities, now you can't really see this here, but there is a column here that you can use to assign priorities. All you need to do is just go all the way to the edge of this template, double click in this space, and then it shows up. And then you can click on the icon to assign a priority. So if we click on this blue icon, you can see that this is very low priority. And let's say to submit this report is the highest priority item. We want it done today. Go ahead and assign that to the highest priority. And then you can assign whatever color you want to the rest of your task. So you can do this every single day when you get to that day, or you can decide to do it for an entire week and then change it when you get to that specific day. It's really up to you, but you don't have to assign the priorities for the entire month for this template to work. All right, so now that we have assigned priorities, and let's say today is the 30th, this is the 30th of December, you can go ahead and cross off the task. And then over here, we have a section that is a weekly summary area. And this summarizes all of the tasks that you have completed for that week. So you can see the date, which is the 30th of December, 2024 to January 5th, 2024, which represents this week here, 30th of December, and the last day here being the 5th of January. So this data here represents this week. And then it would summarize how many tasks that you have that is very low, medium, high, urgent, ASAP. And again, this is all based on what you have put in your setup tab. If you need to change this, go ahead and change it in your setup tab and it will update everywhere automatically. Based on what we have done so far, it's saying that we have one task that is very low that has been completed, and we have no uncompleted tasks in that category. So let's assign a few more. All right, so I've assigned categories to all of the tasks that we have for this week. And now you can see that for the blue, which is very low, we have only one task that we have completed in that category and 4 that's not completed. So now let's go ahead and check this off. So when I check this, you can see now this changes to 2 because I completed a task that has been assigned this priority, and the task decreases to 3. And the same applies as you check off any task here. It adapts accordingly. And if you are a visual person, you can see it represented in this visual form right here. So you have the task priorities here and a split bar that shows you the completed task and the task that hasn't been completed. And the same applies for each week in this month. So this is the first week, this is the second week, the third week, the fourth week. Now let's talk about renaming the tabs. This says month 1, so it gives you the flexibility to name it whatever you want. So now that we have assigned this month to January, you can go ahead and double click in this section and just type January 2025 to rename the tab. And let's move over to the next month, and we could rename February 2025. And it's exactly the same as the tab we just went over. The only difference is the month. Everything else is exactly the same. All of the tasks would show up here. And when we scroll over, you can see that we have the same setup for the weekly summary area. Do keep in mind that there will be an overlap. So for example, the last week in January is the 27th to the 2nd. And then when we go to February, we also have that week also showing up. So you have the option of using this week to track your task assigned to this week. And then when you get here, you can just ignore this task, or you can decide to ignore the last week in January, and then you use the one that shows up in February. Going back to the setup tab, remember this is where you would make any changes you need for your categories and your priority labels. And at the end of the year, you can save this copy. So this would be 2025. And then you can make another blank copy of the template by just clicking on the link again. And then you can use that for 2026, 2027, etc. All right, so that brings me to the end of this walkthrough video. If you have any questions, remember you can reach out to me. My contact information can be found here. If you haven't purchased this template, I will leave a link in the description box so you can go ahead and grab your copy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.